The 17th of May, 1900, Volume 3, Power of the Victim Souls. I continue in the same state of privation and of abandonment. As I was outside of myself, I saw a flood of water mixed with hail, such that it seemed that several cities were flooded with considerable damage. While seeing this, I was in great consternation because I wanted to prevent that flood, but since I was alone, more so since I did not have Jesus with me, I felt my poor arms too weak to be able to do it. Then, to my surprise, I saw a virgin coming. It seemed to me that she was from America, and she from one point, I from another, managed to prevent in great part the scourge that threatened us. After this, as we reunited, I saw that virgin with the insignia of the Passion and crowned with the crown of thorns, just as I was, and a person who seemed to be an angel saying, O power of the victim souls, that which is not given to us angels to do, they can do with their sufferings. Oh, if men knew the good that comes from them, because they are there for the public and the individual good, they would do nothing but implore God to multiply these souls upon earth. After this, having said to each other that each of us should commend the other to the Lord, we separated. End of the reading. The 17th of May, 1925, Volume 17, a continuation of the previous chapter, which is May 10th, 1925. Other ways to fuse oneself in the divine will. First, in return for creation, and then for redemption. After I had the confessor hear what is written above, with the date of May 10th, on fusing myself in the divine volition, he was not satisfied and ordered me to continue to write about the way to fuse myself in the holy divine volition. So, out of obedience and for fear that my Jesus might be even slightly disappointed, I continue. Now, I add that as that immense void comes before my mind, infusing myself in the supreme volition, the little child begins her round again, and rising up high, she wants to repay her God for all the love he had for all creatures in creation. She wants to honor him as creator of all things, and so she goes around the stars, and in each flickering of light, I impress my I love you and glory to my creator. In every atom of the light of the sun that comes down, my I love you and glory. In the whole expanse of the heavens, between the distance from one step to another, my I love you and glory. In the warbling of the bird, in the beating of its wings, love and glory to my Creator. In the blade of grass which sprouts from the earth, in the flower that blooms, in the fragrance that ascends, love and glory. On the peak of the mountains and in the depths of the valleys, love and glory. I wander through every heart of creature, as though wanting to enclose myself and shout from within to every heart, my I love you and glory to my Creator. And then, as if I had gathered everything together in such a way that everything gives return of love and recognition of glory for all that God has done in creation, I go to his throne and I say to him, Supreme Majesty and Creator of all things, this little child comes into your arms to tell you that all of creation, in the name of all creatures, gives you not only return of love, but also the just glory for the so many things you created for love of us. In your will, in this immense empty space, I wandered everywhere, so that all things may glorify you, love you, and bless you. And now that I have put in relation the love between creator and creature, which the human will had broken, as well as the glory that everyone owed you, let your will descend upon earth, that it may bind and strengthen all the relations between creator and creature, and so that all things may return to the original order established by you. Therefore, hurry, do not delay any longer. Don't you see how the earth is full of evils? Your will alone can stop this current and save it. Your will, known and ruling. After this, I feel that my office is still not complete, so I descend to the bottom of that empty space in order to repay Jesus for the work of redemption. And as though finding all that he did in act, I want to give him my return for all the acts that all creatures should have done in waiting for him and receiving him upon earth. Then, as though wanting to transform all of myself into love for Jesus, I go back to my refrain and I say, I love you, in the act of descending from heaven to be incarnated. And I impress my I love you in the act of being conceived in the most pure womb of the Virgin Mary. I love you in the first drop of blood which was formed in your humanity. I love you in the first beat of your heart, to mark all your heartbeats with my I love you. I love you in your first breath. I love you in your first pains. I love you in the first tears you shed in the maternal womb. I want to return your prayers, your reparations, your offerings with my I love you. I love you in your birth. I love you in the cold you suffered. I love you in each drop of the milk you suckled from your most holy mamma. I want to fill with my I love yous the clothes with which your mamma swaddled you. I lay my I love you upon that ground on which your mamma placed you in the manger, as your most tender limbs felt the hardness of the hay, but more than of hay, the hardness of hearts. My I love you in each of your wailings, in all the tears and sufferings of your childhood. I make my I love you flow in all the relations and communications and love you had with your immaculate mamma. I love you in her dearest kisses, in each word you said, in the food you took, in the steps you took, in the water you drank. I love you in the work you did with your hands. I love you in all the acts you did during your hidden life. I seal my I love you in each one of your interior acts and in the pains you suffered. I lay my I love you upon the paths you covered, in the air you breathed, in all the sermons you made during your public life. My I love you flows in the power of the miracles you made, in the sacraments you instituted, in everything, O my Jesus, even in the most intimate fibres of your heart. I impress my I love you for me and for all. Your will makes everything present to me, and nothing do I want to leave in which my I love you is not impressed. Your little daughter of your will feels this duty, as there's nothing else she can do, that you may have at least my little I love you for everything you did for me and for all. Therefore my I love you follows you in all the pains of your passion, in all the spit, scorn, and insults they gave you. My I love you seals every drop of blood you shed, every blow you received, every wound that formed in your body, every thorn that transfixed your head, the bitter pains of the crucifixion, the words you pronounced on the cross. Up to your last breath, I intend to impress my I love you. I want to enclose all your life, all your acts with my I love you. I want you to touch, see, and feel my continuous I love you. My I love you will never leave you. Your very will is the life of my I love you. But do you know what this little child wants? That the divine will of your Father, which you loved so much, and which you did during all your life upon earth, make itself known to all creatures, so that all may love it and fulfill your will on earth as it is in heaven. This little child would want to surpass you in love, so that you may give your will to all creatures. Please make this poor little one happy, who wants nothing but what you want, that your will be known and reign upon all the earth. Now, I believe that obedience will be happy in some way, though it is true that in many things I had to make a few jumps, otherwise I would never end. Fusing myself in the divine volition is like a springing fount for me, and every tiny thing I hear and see, even one offence given to my Jesus, is occasion for me for new ways and new fusions in his most holy will. Now I continue by saying that my sweet Jesus told me, my daughter, to all you have said on fusing yourself in my will, another application must be added, that of fusing yourself in the order of grace, in all that the Sanctifier, the Holy Spirit, has done and will do to those who are to be sanctified. Furthermore, while we, the three divine persons, remain always united in working, if creation is related to the Father and redemption to the Son, the fiat voluntas tua was attributed to the Holy Spirit. And it is exactly in the fiat voluntas tua that the divine Spirit will display his work. You do it when, in coming before the Supreme Majesty, you say, I come to give love in return for everything which the Sanctifier does to those who are to be sanctified. I come to enter into the order of grace to give you glory and return of love, as if all had become saints, and to repair you for all the oppositions and lack of correspondence to grace. And as much as you can in our will, you search for the acts of grace of the Spirit Sanctifier in order to make your own his sorrow, his secret moans, his anguishing sighs in the depths of heart on seeing himself unwelcome. And since the first act he does is to bring our will as the complete act of their sanctification, on seeing himself rejected, he moans with inexpressible moans. And in your childlike simplicity, you say to him, Spirit Sanctifier, hurry, I implore you, I beg you, let everyone know your will, so that in knowing it they may love it and welcome your prime act of their complete sanctification, which is your holy will. My daughter, we, the three divine persons, are inseparable and distinct, and in this way do we want to manifest to the human generations our works for them. While remaining united within ourselves, each one of us wants to manifest individually his love and his work for the creatures. End of the reading. The 17th of May, 1938, volume 36. How the soul is voice, singing, hands to play, while the body is the organ. How the divine will wants the smallest acts to let its sun rise. The sowing of the sun on the earth, sowing of the divine will, the marriage that God is preparing with his truths. I continue my flight in the divine volition. I feel it invading me inside and outside to take its royal place in my smallest acts, as well as in the natural ones, and maybe even in my little trifles. If it didn't do so, it could not reign in fullness within the creature. Now, my dear Jesus, repeating his short little visit, all goodness said, my daughter, everything came out of ourselves and was shaped by our creative hands, both the soul and the body. Both of them must be ours. In fact, we made the body as the organ, and each act done in the divine will was to form one key. It had to contain many notes and concerts of music, all different from one another. The soul, in union with the body, was supposed to be voice and song. By playing those keys, it was to create the most beautiful melodies. Now, an organ without a player is like a dead body. It's not fun, neither does it attract anyone. On the other hand, one who is good at music cannot exercise his art as a musician if he doesn't have an instrument to play. Therefore, a living someone who speaks and moves is needed to create beautiful music. But the instrument is necessary too, with its keys, notes, and so on. Both of them are necessary. Such are the soul and the body. There's such harmony, order, and union that one cannot do without the other. So be attentive. I watch your steps, your words, the movements of your pupils, your tiniest acts, in order for my will to have its life, its place. We don't care whether the act is natural or spiritual, big or small, but we watch attentively to see whether all is ours, whether our will may arise its sun of light, sanctity, and love. We use even the most insignificant act to make the most prodigious wonders, forming the most beautiful scenes to keep us all amused. Didn't we form the marvellous enchantment of the whole creation from nothing? Wasn't it from nothing that we created so many harmonies up to our very image in the creation of man? My daughter, if creation had to give us only what is spiritual, that would have been very little. Instead, by giving us also its natural acts, it can always give. We can be in continuous relation and our bond never breaks. More so since the small things, breathing, moving, helping oneself in little personal things, are always available and within reach. Available for the little and the great, for the ignorant and the learned, and they never end. If these little things are done to love us, they form in themselves the life of the divine will, our victory and triumph, the ultimate purpose of their creation. See then how easy it is to live in our will? The creature doesn't have to do new things, but just what she always does. That is to say, to live her life as we gave it, but in our will. Fiat. After this, my Jesus continued, My daughter, every day the sun gives light, heat, sweetness, fragrances, colour, fecundity, and different flavours, and with this it embellishes the earth. By just touching with its light and moulding with its heat, it fecundates the plants and the whole of nature. It sweetens the fruits and gives a variety of colours and fragrances to flowers, forming a sweet enchantment for human generations. The same thing happens with my will, that immensely exceeding the sowing of the sun, sows light, love, varieties of beauty and sanctity in the one who lives in it. It gives to each seed a divine fecundity. Oh, how beautiful it is to see this embellished creature fecundated by our divine sowing. How special she is, forming the enchantment of our divine pupils. Now, my daughter, in order to receive the sowing of the sun, the earth, the flowers, and the plants must let themselves be touched by its light and heat. Otherwise, the sun would remain at the height of its sphere, but not being able to sow in the earth. The earth would remain sterile, without fecundity and beauty, since union and agreement from both sides are needed to give and receive any good. Without these, one cannot give and the other cannot receive. In the same way, in order for the soul to receive the sowing of my will, she has to live in it. Being always united with perfect agreement, she must let herself be moulded in order to receive a new fecund life. Otherwise, as with the sun, my will doesn't sow, and the creature remains sterile, without beauty, in the darkness of her human will. This is why I want the creature to live in my will. Furthermore, I myself become the farmer in charge of the sowing. I make sure it doesn't get wasted in order to produce the most various beauties. Then he added with more loving tenderness, My good daughter, my love wants to be tied more and more to the creature, and the more truths it manifests regarding my will, the more bonds I put between God and herself. In manifesting the truth, my love is preparing the marriage between God and the soul. The more it manifests, the more pomp and magnificence this marriage will have. Would you like to know what happens then? My truths will be like the dowry needed in order to marry God, to get to know the one who lowers himself and even ties himself only for love in the bond of marriage. My truths touch the creature over and over. They mould her to new life. They return her to the beauty of our image and resemblance, from the time she was created, and impress on her their kiss of inseparable union. Just one of our truths can make a sea of prodigies and divine creations in the soul who has the goodness to listen to it. One truth can turn a perverted world into a good and holy one because it is one of our lives, exposed for the good of all. It is a new sun that we raise in created intellects, a sun that will let itself be known through its light and heat, turning into light and heat whoever wants to listen. Therefore, hiding a truth that we give from our paternal womb with so much love is the greatest crime. It deprives human generations of the greatest good. Therefore, one who lives in our will by marrying us makes a feast for all saints. All of them participate in this divine wedding, and because of it, they have their own party in heaven and another one on earth. Each act the creature does in our will is a feast, a table sumptuously decked for the heavenly regions. In return, the saints give new gifts. They beseech the Lord to manifest more truths to the soul, to broaden more and more the boundaries of the dowry that God gave to her. End of the reading. There are no more readings today.